2025. Can you believe that we're a quarter of a century from the year 2000? I can. A time when the future was here, and boy was it silver for some reason. To celebrate this momentous occasion, I've decided to review the movie that I think is the most 2000s. No, not American Psycho, and not Memento, Gladiator, X-Men, Dracula 2000? Man, there was a lot of movies that came out in the year 2000. No, today we will be covering the Charlie's Angels movie from the year 2000, as well as the rest of the franchise, I guess. We should probably start with the original 1976 show. It follows the titular angels, who were
three little girls who went to the police academy.
Not sure if I would have phrased it that way, but sure. But they go to work for a guy named Charlie at the Townsend Detective Agency. Each episode usually involves the angels foiling some mysterious murder or some criminal plot, and it all gets wrapped up within an hour. The episode that I watched was episode 1 of season 1, called Hell Ride, about an amateur racetrack contestant, which must have been a thing in the 70s, who's killed under suspicious circumstances, and the mechanic thinks that there was foul play involved. And so the angels and their coworker, manservant, they're Bosley, have to solve the case. Before streaming in DVR, shows were more episodic, so that you could catch any episode and it could be your first episode and you wouldn't be terribly lost. Characters were more broad and easily digestible, and they even changed out a lot of the cast members, most notably being Farrah Fawcett, who was in the first season and then jumped ship the moment that she could. So even the characters weren't necessarily what you came for. You came for the premise of cool action spy girls who are gonna outkick, outsmart, and outplay all their criminal adversaries. And so, after years of poor ratings, changing cast, and changing tastes, the Angels were relegated to the dustbin of history. That is, until the Angels made a comeback in the year 2000 with a full Hollywood treatment. And it seemed to hit at the perfect time, too, where mothers still had nostalgia for the old show, and they could bring their sons to the movie who would then pop their first boners to it. Oh, was that just me? And if this isn't foreshadowing what the biggest draw of this movie is, or should I say, two biggest draws, then I don't know what would. Like many spy movies, this one starts us in the middle of a mission, with a very 2000s cameo by LL Cool J, as well as a fun jab at the entire premise of the film.
Another movie from an old TV show.
They're doing a bomb trade on the plane, I think? And the guy that they're trading with already started the bomb as like an insurance policy, and it's already down to like a minute. That's not a lot of wiggle room, because she was in the bathroom for like 30 more. So they would blow up. They would blow up if she just spent another minute in the bathroom. Immediately, this is one of those movies where the movie itself looks at you and goes, "You're thinking about it? That's your problem. Don't think about it." And before long, they're jumping out of the airplane and into a speedboat where they ride away into the sunset.
No way! What was that? Who are you people?
They then have a montage setting up each of the angels in the same style as the original 70s show. We have Cameron Diaz as Natalie, who's a former ugly duckling who's now a super spy. We have Dylan, played by Drew Barrymore, as a bad girl with even worse taste in men. And then Alex, played by Lucy Liu, is a rich girl overachiever and also is terrible at cooking. Okay. Bill Murray is here for a paycheck, and there's a lot of 2000 character actors and cameos, and also Luke Wilson.
The man laughs at death.
Tom Green also shows up, which, does anyone outside that era know who Tom Green is? He did those Man on the Street interviews back before anyone else did it, and he also pens such classic lyrics such as, "My bum is on the cheese, my bum is on the cheese. If I get lucky, I'll get a disease." Truly a master of our time. And as unlikely as it seems, he was actually married to Drew Barrymore, which is 100% why he's in this movie. There's no other reason why he would.
And so I reached out to you and, asked you to come and do Charlie's Angels, and you so graciously said yes.
Kind of sort of hit it off right away, pretty much.
Then again, Hollywood gave him his own movie one time, and this is how it turned out. So, huh?
Oh, wake up your baby! Guys!
This is normally the part of the review that I talk about the plot. But the thing is, there isn't one. Okay, that's a lie. There is a series of events that follow a logical progression. But if you held a gun to anyone who's seen these movies' heads and asked them to recount the plot to any of them, I think you're going to be cleaning up brain matter after a little bit. What Charlie's Angels has is a plot that happens to be the same plot as all the other Charlie's Angels movies. 2 of the 3 movies include the following: a plot centered around a MacGuffin that can kill anyone, anywhere, and the main villain wants to use it for themselves or sell it to the highest bidder, a set piece at a racetrack, a creepy silent henchman, a double cross by somebody that was obviously gonna double cross the Angels, and an overly horny BDSM scene. The first Charlie's Angels movie centers around a doodad, a gizmo, a MacGuffin that can track any phone signal in the world, which they want to use to track down Charlie, who's famously only heard over a phone line. And this can only really exist as a plotline in a priest-known world because now the US government is like, wait, that's considered villainous? Because we do that all the time and it rules. The sequel, Full Throttle, is about finding 2 rings that when put together form the list of everybody in witness protection, which includes Dylan, because she helped put away her old Irish mobster boyfriend, but now he's getting out, and he's targeting everybody that was helped get him in, which includes a young Shia LaBeouf, whose parents were killed by him. And so, but the Shia LaBeouf is being protected by the Thin Man from the last movie, which he's in this movie for some reason, and they went to the same orphanage, is why they say he's protecting him.
Mother, have you had contact with him since?
Well, not really that much, except for the odd haircut now and then.
But then they have to get young Shia LaBeouf and move him in with Bosley's family, which he played by Bernie Mac in this one. And Bernie Mac is way better for the role, let's be honest. But they have a fun bit where they say that Bill Murray's character was adopted into Bernie Mac's family, which is very fun. But I digress, because it turns out that it was a double cross by the T-1000, who was then double crossed himself by former Angel Demi Moore, who then shoots the Angels off of a rooftop. But it's okay because they got bulletproof vests. But it's because Dylan had to leave to protect them all, and then she came back to get shot off the roof. And then they have another fight on a different rooftop that's near Matt LeBlanc's movie premiere, where then Thin Man and everybody dies. And then they are ready in 3 minutes for the movie premiere, like they hadn't just fought everybody in the movie.
Party time.
And then it's the movie. That's the end of the movie. Also, they have a bit where John Cleese is Lucy Liu's dad, and they keep talking about her Charlie's Angels job like she's a porn star, and then they never correct him.
And we just took on 12 sailors. I mean, you can't even imagine the positions we get ourselves into. Daddy, I wish you could watch us work. You'd be so proud. Ferret.
You aren't coming for the plot, though. The plot to these movies is like the track the roller coaster goes on as you pass a series of high kicks and tits that hold your attention long enough for the next loop-de-loop. That's not to say that the plots are bad, but they're just inconsequential, so I won't be talking about them much anymore. It feels like an earnest attempt at making a blockbuster out of the original 1970s premise before cynicism took over. Which means that it's probably time for me to talk about the 2019 reboot. Listen, it sucks. It's unfunny, bloated, pandering, and worst of all, it's boring.
Sandwich?
The angels have no chemistry together, and who are they? Because Kristen Stewart's in this, and she's pretty good, but her whole deal as an actress is having a weird, awkward half charisma, like she's a human-sized smirk. So she can't keep the entire load on herself, playing an angel who's so bad that she's gay. But could you have gotten more well-known actresses for the other two? And barring that, could you have gotten actresses who don't look the exact same? The plot of this movie centers around a MacGuffin that, when overloaded, EMPs the human nervous system, leading to undetectable strokes, meaning that's like a perfect assassination tool. And at one point in the movie, they actually kill a security guard with such a device, and then have the gall to say the quote, "Don't worry, he was just collateral."
I killed Ralph. I'm a murderer.
Oh, no.
Collateral damage.
I wouldn't take that on.
As if that is not the exact quote that in any other movie would out that character as being a secret villain. But in this movie, it was said unironically by the angels, and then they were like, oh yeah, you're right, he was just collateral. I should forget about this human. Ugh, the dialogue is cringy. The jokes don't land.
Hamburg. Interestingly, not where hamburgers were invented. That was in Frankfurt, where frankfurters were not invented. It was just
Yeah, I really don't.
I'm really sorry. I'm vegetarian.
And they make the mistake of presenting an unbearable character, but then there's no punchline to it. So you're just left listening to him, and then you just get annoyed, and then there's no resolution, so you're just annoyed with the movie.
Elena, thank you so much for coming in. I love how this conversation went.
Well, technically, I haven't said anything.
Let's not get caught in a game of who said what, right?
I struggled to get through this movie. So why talk about it? Because each iteration of the Charlie's Angels fits distinctly into its time period. The 1970s show hit at a time when a women's lib A-team was uncharted territory. The 2000s movie had that new millennium smell, full of optimism and wire-fu and latex. The 2003 movie was getting bigger and dumber at a time when all movies seem to be getting bigger and dumber, and I bet you could figure out what the purpose of a late reboot of an all-female spy team might be in 2019. Which is not to say that I'm inherently against a feminist message, but the rotten core of the 2019 reboot is that it's just poorly written.
But Michael Keaton is Batman.
No, Ben Affleck is Batman.
I mean, is he? Am I really the only person here who knows who Burt Lancaster is?
I'm concussed.
It doesn't matter. It's an old movie. It's from like...
How old are you?
How old am I? What? That has nothing to do with it.
I don't have your references.
There are film buffs of all ages.
Let's go get our girl.
In the original Charlie's Angels episode I watched, one of the angels goes undercover as the naive daughter of a traveling preacher in order to get information out of some guys playing poker.
Oh, hope it's not gin. You know, my daddy says gin's a very sinful game.
They underestimate her, so she's able to hustle them out of information and all their money before flashing a smile and making a quick getaway. This shows us how the angels operate, by using their guile and charm and the biases of their opponents to get an upper hand.
They're always pushing people around.
Just let me handle this, okay?
You're a citizen. You have rights. Tell him you want a sobriety test.
I don't want a sobriety test.
Maybe a sobriety test would be a good idea. Step away from the car, please.
Listen, I told you it wasn't my fault. This loudmouth dumb broad I picked up had me put away before I could talk my way out of it.
Sure.
But apparently, Elizabeth Banks misheard the old phrase, show don't tell, and heard it as, tell them and keep telling them, because how else would they get the message? I mean, how else will I know that Kristen Stewart is dangerous if she doesn't tell the bad guy in front of his face and also his bodyguards while strangling him with a curtain?
Did you know?
What?
That it takes men an additional 7 seconds to perceive a woman as a threat compared to a man.
How else will I know that girls can get it done? For coming out at a time when Times Square was just one big porno store, it's surprising that the 1970s show seems the most respectful and balanced of the girls. Granted, I only watched one episode, so I can't really speak about the rest of the series, but it seems like it doesn't get too patronizing before it shows off the girls' ultra competence.
Oh, I thought there was 7 cards to a stud. I mean, hand.
The 2000s movie gets the ultra competence part of that formula right, but my God, does it sexualize the angels. You will never see more flat butts packed into latex than in this movie.
Which was the style at the time?
Now, don't get me wrong. I am a straight, red-blooded American, and I will salute that flag any day of the week.
Oh my god.
But it gets to the point of parody. Like, there's one point where they change out of sexy diving suits that have the oh-so-necessary cleavage window, to reduce drag. And then they put on outfits which have the same amount of cleavage. Like, why do we even change the outfits if you're going to just change into literally the same outfit? Also, yellow is a famously good infiltration color. Then there's the Lucy Liu dominatrix scene, where she gives all the nerds in the tri-state area a nosebleed, not to mention the out-of-date Asian stereotypes and jokes that they have. And this is before giving Tim Curry a foot massage. No, not massaging Tim Curry's feet. Massaging Tim Curry with Lucy Liu's feet. And that's just, who's rating this and how horny were they? Oh, yeah. There are multiple Cameron Diaz ass-shaking scenes, and Cameron, I don't know who told you have a great butt, but it's like 4 out of 10 on a good day, and is she on stage at Soul Train? Oh, Jesus Christ.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. And when a girl walks in with an itty-bitty waist and around...
Now, you would think that this would contradict the women's empowerment angle, but never underestimate a producer's ability to have their cake and eat it too. For people who didn't live through the 2000s, it's hard to explain how weird of a time period it was. Because it was both the future, but also still the 90s. To explain it in a phrase, blank is dead, long live blank. Sexism is dead, long live sexism. There's this weird attitude, like congratulatory attitude of like, we live in a post-racial world. If we treat everybody like a stereotype, that means that nobody's a stereotype. See? White people can get down too. It's not high cinema by any stretch of the imagination, but it has this really fun energy, and it understands what it is, which is a reboot of a 70s low-budget show, so it decides to lean into that with fun disguises and gravity-defying action. They hit the right level of camp, slotting into a niche that's kind of a more cartoony Mission Impossible. Compare that to the 2019 movie that seems embarrassed by its entire premise and tries to kind of retrofit it to have more modern sensibilities. And in that pursuit, it lost anything that could make it stand out from the sea of other gray spy movies that are just everywhere nowadays. I will leave you all off with a recommendation for the Charlie's Angels show and also the 2000s movies. But avoid the 2019 movie. It's so long too. I forgot to mention, it's like 2 hours. And I want to end with a message to Hollywood. Not every show, movie, what have you, with name recognition needs to be rebooted. I know in terms of hot takes, that is an Antarctic take, but it needs to be said, especially with stuff like this. It was fine and it was innovative in the 70s and 2000s, but now we have gone past that point and it's no longer, the premise doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work, okay? Stop trying to make it work. It doesn't work! If you enjoyed this look back at a simpler time, then check out some of my other videos that I have that are reviews just like this one, or some fun true life tales. And remember to lick, commit, and like, comment, and subscribe. This movie's getting to me, man. I can't. And if you got time, get your flat butt down to Segment City, a variety podcast that I host with my good friend Theo, where you could listen to content just like this. Of course, there's another possible explanation. Sylvester hasn't ruled out the possibility of the turkey artillery theory.
Okay.
Quote, some people will shoot turkeys into the lake with a turkey cannon. I couldn't get through that.
That's amazing. What are we talking about?
All right, goodbye, angels. It's me, Charlie. I was thinking about things, and you know what? I think there should be big changes around here. I was thinking maybe a bigger room, more couches. What do you girls think? Hello? Hello? Bosley? Angels? Are you there? Oh well. All right, goodbye, angels.